Court ruling could shake up the magazine selling industry and its traveling door-to-door sales crews.
At least that's the hope of some after a recent potentially precedent-setting court ruling in Wisconsin.
News 3's Linda Eggert explains how the ruling involves the industry that made headlines with a horrific van crash back in 1999. Linda.
That's right, Eric and Susan. Some lawyers call it a victory for all consumers. Late last month, a Dunn County judge opened a can of worms and potentially the deep pockets of an industry that relies on door-to-door sellers, an industry that has seemingly been legally off limits until now.
This is monumental. It ties into everything else that's happening here.
Phil Ellenbecker has been on a quest for corporate accountability ever since his daughter Melinda was killed in a van crash in 1999. She was part of a traveling door-to-door magazine selling crew when one of its recruiters, who did not have a driver's license, tried to switch seats with a passenger and the van flipped over, killing 7, injuring 5. But 8 years later, Ellenbecker has a big victory on his road to corporate justice.
It sends a message to the magazine sales companies and to the clearinghouses all across the country. It puts the responsibility on the people who need to be responsible.
The Verona dad is rejoicing in a recent Dunn County court ruling. It involves now convicted sex offender Brandon Green, a door-to-door magazine seller who brutally beat and raped a homeowner 2 years ago. Now the victim is suing not just him, but the companies who used him, and a judge says that's perfectly legal here. The Dunn County court ruling says the Florida companies, Gemini Subscriptions and Pitt Sales, exercise sufficient control over Brandon Green's actions to hold them liable for his conduct. And the judge further ruled Palmetto Marketing exercised sufficient control over the actions of both Gemini and Pitts to hold it liable.
This industry has a track record of allowing very dangerous employees to work for it. And traditionally, the companies have not exercised sufficient responsibility in screening out dangerous individuals that they hire.
Carlson says the Florida companies knew Green had a felony conviction for burglary, but hired him anyway. Ellenbecker says his website has tracked some 280 crimes in the door-to-door industry since 1986, with the vast majority of the victims being homeowners.
Now, isn't there a bill to regulate some of these companies and their crews?
Yeah, we've heard about it the last couple of years. In fact, backers hope that this ruling will give the regulation bill the boost it's needed to finally pass if it survives the current budget debate. The bill would force companies and their workers to register with the state, so they would create a database and file some other, have to follow some other rules so they can be tracked.
News 3's Linda Eggert reporting. Thanks, Linda.
You bet.